My name is José Buggenhout. I am judge from IGP from 1986. Yes, 86. Rescue dog judge from 1996, I think too. I don't remember, but more than 20 years. I am a competitor, IGP and rescue. And what I forgot to say, I was in charge of the first Belgium rescue team for the firefighter. I am the main trainer of the rescue team in Belgium, for all Belgium, for firefighters. I do that for approximately 5-6 years because people say, oh, it's just a judge. No, I have been on the field and I practiced and I tried firefighter during a lot of years with dogs. I've been professional canine in the police. My first dog was a tracking dog and my second dog was an attack dog, assault dogs in the special force. So I know how to work, I know how to deal and to make the difference between mission dogs and sport dogs.
So for both puppies and inexperienced adult dogs, would you please share with us how you like to begin tracking, begin area search, begin rubble search, begin man trailing?
Okay. I have a quick answer. Until you have control on your dog. It doesn't mean you can start all discipline. It doesn't matter, but when you have control. The easier one with a 8 weeks old dog is tracking, because then you can walk, just nose walk, but in the meantime you try to have control of your dog. It means, yes, to start a discipline is better to have control with your dog. It's a short answer, but I mean, if you want to make area search, if you don't have a recall, it's not necessary. If you are in a rubble, and the dog has to go alone in a dark room, and if 6 months old and you don't train the dog and you don't have a recall or alert exercise, it's no need to train your dog. You know, you have to walk alert exercise in the meantime that searching, and then for tracking is better because there you just use in the beginning nose step by step and you can start. Man trailing is the same way, you can eat very short, but anyway, in the meantime, you have to work with control.
So I think now I know your answer, but what would you say to the idea that people say too much obedience, like heel and stay, will dampen the enthusiasm of the dog and make them too dependent for search work?
I never speak about obedience to a dog before to walk. I was speaking about control. And you need control. Till for competition dog or mission dog. If you go on a mission with a dog, you know, for rescue dogs, I don't have control to my dog, it's not good. It's not possible. I mean, if my dog leaves the area, I don't have a record. What are you doing? If I don't have an alert exercise, alerting, you know, for rubber side, the dog doesn't alert correctly, leaves the scene, what I have to do? I call the engineers to come say, where is I have to go to save the victim? I don't know, maybe there, you know. No, must be precise. The dog has to stay to make a good alert, and for that you need control. It's always the same order. Control and harmony with your dog. So, not working, obedience, not working, is not possible. You've never been a rescuer. Never been. Never.
What do you have?
Sorry.
Yeah.
When you work control and obedience, is the way I'm practicing, you know, to educate dogs, is always with motivation. If now we are speaking about the old way to train dogs with obedience, with force, with electric device, picketing, you know, I don't know the word in English, but collar with picks, you know, something like that. for sure it's not good. Because the dogs never leave you. The dog have to work freely, in independence, and in confidence with his dog handler. If you use force to train your dog, it's in a good way. And a lot of people, more than 90% right now, are working the dog with force. And the way I teach dogs, I educate dogs, is without force. So the beginning is very important. Okay.
Oh, very good. What tips do you have for the exhibitor to transfer from IGP to RH?
Okay. When you have children, you have 2 children, twins, for example, 9 months old. Is it possible for you to educate your children in a different way? Because you don't know if one is coming, engineer, a second one is maybe working for, I don't know, in a shop. You know, you don't know at the beginning. You give the same education, both. And after, the one shows his way. It's the same with dogs. The basic education must be the same. So it's in the mind of the dog handlers to say, I have a show dog, I have a walking dog. No, you have dogs. And the education must be the same. More specialized for walking dog, but for a show dog, you need control, always control and harmony with your dog, both. It's a problem, but it's not the problem of walking dog. That's the problem of breeder. They don't want to spend time to educate the dog in the good line, in the good way. Because they say, no, I don't have time, I'm working, I am doing that, I am doing that. Maybe I will be strict in my answer. When they get puppies, 10 puppies, they say the puppies $2,000. They accept the $2,000, but they don't accept to walk their dogs. That's the problem. If you are more involved in the dog's life, it will be better. I think people don't like this kind of answer, but that's the truth.
Okay. How, if at all, is healing scored differently in IGP versus RH?
It's not a difference of judging, maybe, but because people make a difference between IGP dogs, you know, and RH dogs, rescue dogs, because they say, rescue dogs is not so important, so healing is different. No, in both cases, and it's writing the rules, because for healing, the rules are exactly the same, but just the same than IGP. You understand? What happens with rescue dogs? They are not robots, because we are working different breeds, you know. And for IGP, now we're working more German Shepherd, Belgian Shepherd, you know, with high obeisance, and they are working like robots. But you see, for healing, I am international judge for IGP, and I judge World Championships. When dogs are walking like a robot, you know, like that, and the back like that, I take points. In the rules, you can say the walk healing, free healing, is with jaws and complicity and concentrate to the dog handler. You never find the words they have to be like a robot. So it's the same.
And for tracking, is there a scoring difference to score tracking for IGP and for RH? So
okay.
There is a difference.
Okay, the difference has to be a difference, because IGP tracks is very easy. Maximum is 600 steps. Level B, you are speaking about 2,000 steps and 3 hours of delay. FH2 is 1,800 steps and 3 hours. But the way is different. For IGP and FH, that's the way of the dog tracks. It means it's 100 points. 21 points for the article, 69 points for the track. The track and the corners and so on. We are going to rescue dogs. You have 10 points, 20 points for the start to find the article. Then you have 10 points for the start. Then you have 40 points for the article, 8 articles, 5 points each article. And then you just have 70 points till 200 points just for tracking. So it's been totally different. And then the rest of is for to find 60 points to find the victim, 30 points for finding the victim, and 30 points for the alert. So, by example, I judge the same way, you know, FH2 and level B. I take 8 points in FH2. I will get 22 points on 100. I take 8 points in rescue dogs. I will get 62 tracking. Total, I will get 192. One is very good, second one is excellent. So we judge the same way, but the level of points are totally different. Then, FH or IGP, you have just one field, kind of field. For rescue dogs, you have different, minimum 5, 6 different kind of fields. You have to cross streets and so on. It's more difficult. The dog have to walk more freely and verificate always. Like for my training, I spoke to you, it's very important for rescue dogs in tracking to walking like that, you know, step by step, because on a moment you have sharp corner and then maybe cross a street and so on. So the dog has to walk more independently. For an example, after a corner, the dog for IGP has to go in the same speed, you know. If accelerate is finished. Not for rescue dogs, because rescue dog is so complicated. If the dog is doing the corner correctly and then accelerate because he has a lot of tempo, we don't finish. So that's it, yeah, that's it. But anyway, for the tracking, quality of the tracking is just the same, but the level of points are different.
Thank you. What are your tips for building a foundation for carry?
Harmony, kindness. Harmony, kindness. When you start for this exercise, you have to walk first at home. You put your dog on the table, you take your dog, hand over the dog, you make a wall, and then you put back your dog on the table and you reward him. The dog has to find this exercise fun for him. Not to aggress the dog, not to punish the dog, not to make injuries to the dog. Slowly, you make a turn and then you call a friend of you and you take the dog and your friend is walking near you and going back to the table. Then you take your dog, you give the dog to your friend, friendly, with a ball, and you reward after back to the table. And after you pick up the dog from the table, you are going to your friend is going back to the table. Why to the table? Because when you left the dog on the floor, you are doing like that. You have pressure to the dogs. And a lot of times that's the problem, when you give pressure to the dogs. That's why you have to walk step by step, but always with kindness and not to force. Because people says, okay, make your dog obeying, you know, if it's not going good, you smash your dog. It's okay for training. But the dog during 3 hours, they know it's not smashed, huh? And then the dog finish you. Okay?
Very good. Do you have tips for a foundation for the ladder?
For the ladder. It's the same way. Normally, and here, old Bruce, it was 12th row. Now it's 14. When I start with ladder, I make a lot of rows. Minimum, I put a row, 10 centimeter, a second one, 10 centimeter, a lot of rows. And then it's easy. Then I take one in 20, then 30. And at the beginning, you have row, 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 and then the dog is easy. Then I take one, I take second, and take second. You take step by step. I never force the dogs. I am always working with a leash in one hand and a tip, no, you say that
Treat?
a treat in the second hand. So with a young dog, you put it, and with all the rows, you know, smaller, you go, okay, 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 and then the dog feel comfortable, is going to the last row.
Good. Tips for building a good foundation for the gunshot during healing and the long down.
Okay. Gunshot, you don't have to work that on a training field at the beginning. It's at home when you feed your dog, your wife or your friend or everything, a friend is going outside, and when you feed, your dog is busy eating, you pet your dog, okay, good dog, he's looking, okay, nothing, okay, he's good. And then from far, close, close, close. Then outside, you are walking with your dog, and a good tip is he shut but far away of the dog, and he hears something. Between letting the dog looking from where the noise is coming, you give something to the dog. So the dog, what we will do, he hears something and he's looking to you, and not to the gunshot. And then you go that to the field training field, healing, you heal with the dogs, shot, tick, battery. It's easy. It's easy.
What tips would you have for a dog that's already worried about the gunfire during obedience?
To restart the conditioning, but it takes months and months. But punishing the dog is no good. But we have to restart. We can do it. We have some kinds of breeds. Indian dogs sometimes are afraid. Border collie, we have the problem. So we have to do it very small. In beginnings of the training field, you have to shoot maybe 100 meters from the field and then coming. But you have to make a reconditioning of the dog. It's the same thing with aggressive dog and so on. You have to make reconditioning.
What suggestions do you have for the high drive dog that has trouble with the long down, especially for A and B level, because the other dog is doing the retrieve, running to the table, very exciting?
Control from the beginning, because people are training dogs without the basic control. That's the problem. You start immediately with training your dog without a good base. For an example, you try a long down, at the beginning, you stay just near your dogs. And you keep the attention, the concentration, the dog to you. A lot of dog handlers are going 20 meters, immediately the dog is looking around. It's no good. You have to keep the concentration of the dog to you. It means with a ball, something like that. For IGP, I have been to a World Championship, and Finland's dog handler, she showed me something special. She's inside the blind, you know, the dog is lying down. Time to time, with her hand, with a ball, to show. And the dog is always looking like that because he's concentrated, maybe I will get the ball. You see, to keep attention to the dog. Here, in level A, level B, it's good because the dog can see you and you can face to your dog. So it's very, very, very easy. Beginning, you start 1 meter and second meter. And you can, because I don't know in America, but sometimes, someplace, when you train your dog is alone on the field. In my club, we are maybe 20 dogs. One is making a retrieve, second one is making the ladder, the third one is making the table, and my dog is laying down. And sometimes I'm going to to take something in my car. I let my dog on the field. This is not a problem. It's not a problem at all. It's a problem of the basic conditioning of the dog.
Whether it's for club level competitions or championships, what do you think are the characteristics of a good dog and of a good handler?
I will say the same word, harmony. Competition is an accident of your training. And I don't know the name in English for that, ambition. You know, I wish to become that. If you are working in this way, a lot of chance you don't go. You have to work for your own pleasure. And when you take pleasure with your dog, the points are coming. Why? You are not stressed. And if my dog the level is 80%, I am happy with 80%. But a lot of dog handlers, okay, you have been to a competition, yeah, what's the point of your dogs? Oh, just 92. You know, 92 is not enough. I would like excellent, but they don't work to get an excellent. So if you are not ambition, you know, you say, I'm working because I love my dog, I'm working because I am happy with my dog, I will get a good dog, and I will be a good dog handler. It's a team, harmony between the dog and so on. So people tell me, okay, but today it was not good, it's not a good day of my dog and so on. Bad preparation. That's it. And I repeat, competition is an accident of the training. And people will make 20, 30 competition a year. It's not possible because you don't have time enough to reconditioning the dog in the good way between two competitions. You prepare your competition, and after that you take lessons from the competition you made. It means the remarks, okay, even it was a problem, later it's a problem, okay, I have to correct that before to go to the next competition. And then you will get good points.
Thank you. In Europe, what would you say is the proportion of Malinois, German Shepherd, Dutch Shepherd together versus other breeds? And what is the most common breed?
All kind of breeds. Because people think that Belgian Shepherd, German Shepherd is not true. In Europe, in the States, you know, in Germany, I know Jack Russell have been world champion. You know, Belgian team, we have a Belgian Shepherd, we have, listen to me, a German Shepherd, we have a second German Shepherd, last world championship, and we have been world champion. So very high level and world champion. So first dog was, I repeat, a Belgian Shepherd, second dog, you have Border Collie, then a German Shepherd, and the reserve was a Poodle. So all kind. But the more use for area search is generally retrievers, dogs, you know. For tracking, most of them are German Shepherd because they are more quiet, but they are suffering from the heat. So that's why. And for rubble, we need small dogs, very quick. So Border Collie are better and so on, small dogs, Jack Russells, this kind, but all kind of breeds. But you can see maybe 25% German Shepherd, 20% Belgian Shepherd, 20%, yeah, it depends, it depends.
For those of us who have not been to an FCI championship, what can we expect?
What do you mean, not being? Selected or to?
We've never attended one.
Ah, okay.
What will it be like?
You have to work to be inside. Yeah, it's easy. Because if it's not possible for FCI, because you need a purebred dog, you have to be a member of, but no, with AWDF is possible. If you have TIF, you raise the minimum of 240 with your dog, you can go to the World Championship. You have to work to get 240, and then you can go to the World Championship. Or you go to the Aero World Championship if you don't have a street book with your dog. But it's open, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. Walk and come. You are free, we accept everybody. The next World Championship FCI will be in Italy in August, end of August. And we expect 60 dogs in rubble, 60 dogs area search, and 30 dogs in trekking. 150 dogs. That's the maximum we can accept, and we are ready to accept so much time. So we have place. You are waiting you. You are waiting you. But World Championship is not a goal for a dog handler. It's not a goal anymore. You know, you don't have to work to go to a World Championship. World Championship is a good experience, but it's not a goal, really a goal for a dog handler. First, be harmony with your dog, do your best with your dog, have good points, and when you are sure and happy with your dog, then you can participate for an experience. Because rescue dog is not like IGP. IGP you can manage the way of your dog is walking because it's always the same. It's a stadium, the same stress, everything. Here you have a nose walk. And as I said, last Belgium selection, I say, each competition is a challenge. Because when you speak about nose walk, you never know the weather condition, you never know the position. For trekking, for example, it's normal for 10 dogs, 6 dogs are failing. It's normal, you know, because it's too difficult and so on. For rubber side, you know, if you are lottery, you start at 7 o'clock morning, 7:30 morning, it's 12 Celsius degree, you walk, it's easy. Infinitely, rotary, you are going mid-time, 12 o'clock. Sun shines, because World Championship is always August or September. You are in Italy, you are in Romania, 40 degrees. Between 40 degrees walking in rubber side or in area search and walking with 14 degrees is a big difference. And it's a lottery. So you have not to be lucky, but each research is always a challenge, an adventure, let's say. Okay.
Right. So finally, last question: do you have any tips on how we can grow the sport in the U.S.?
Oh yes. Harmony and walking. It means if you are walking the way I show you today with kindness and so on, and the end goal is saving life, people agree. What they don't agree is to walk people with punishment is boring for a dog handler. If you join a kennel club, you are going your small puppies, loving puppies, I pet my puppies, and you say, tack, 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 you go back home, you are not happy, you are unhappy, you know, for once, for two, and pupil, the image you give to pupil, is hard, is difficult. You have to provide a nice image of our disciplines. Nice dogs, nice dog handler, walking, because for rescue dogs, you can come with your family. You know, it's a win-win team. So your family can participate for hiding place, something like that. You make a small barbecue. It must be good ambience, good atmosphere between the dog handlers and no competition. And in this way, and then I say the end goal is to save life. Maybe not immediately, but you know, a fire station or a police station can ask you to come to help them. So you have always to be ready. That's the most important for a rescue dog is to be ready. And you have to be ready all the time. And one day I spoke to the president of IRO because people think we are in competition. Because FCIF World Championship, IROF World Championship, we have national championships, we have Breeze World Championships now. You know, he says, it's not a problem, it's an old man age, it's not a problem. More they train, more they be ready for mission.